Welcome back as we're continuing our journey through Exodus. We are in Exodus chapters 19, 20, and 21 today. And we finished up yesterday with Jethro giving Moses some good advice for leading the nation of Israel. And now Jethro has gone back home, and Moses and the Israelites are continuing on their journey. And in chapter 19, they arrive at Mount Sinai. Now, this is where God had originally told Moses, way back in chapter 3, that he would bring the people of Israel to Mount Sinai to worship. And so now they are here at Mount Sinai, and they are here to worship the Lord and for him to establish his covenant with the people of Israel. And that is what is happening in chapter 19. And then in chapter 20, the Lord gives the 10 commandments to the children of Israel. This is the foundational behavior code, moral code for them to live by. And then he goes on through next several chapters, adding more laws, more specific laws, and in other books as well, about how they are to live in relationship with him. But this, in chapter 20, is where he gives the 10 Commandments, which form the basis for all of their interactions with the Lord and with each other. And then in chapter 21, he begins, well, at the end of chapter 20, and then going on into chapter 21, the Lord begins giving more specific laws based on the 10 Commandments. So now that you know that these are the foundational laws, this is how that plays out in these specific situations, that sort of things. And chapter 21, there are laws about slaves, and begins the section of laws about restitution. There are laws requiring the death penalty. There's lots of different laws. And I'm not going to get into the subject of slavery here. If you have questions about that and you want me to address it in the future, just leave a comment and I will. Now, we know so much more about God and who he is and his character and how he relates to humanity because we have the entire Bible. But at this time, they did not have the entire Bible. They had most likely the book of Genesis, or it was in the process of being written at this time. And that is it. Other than that, they had the communications from the Lord through Moses. So we cannot judge what they knew and how they understood the Lord and his interactions with humanity based on the fact that we have the entire revelation of God. That's called progressive revelation, where God gave a little bit at a time. And we just need to keep that in mind. And I know the subject of slavery is a kind of a sticky wicket for some people, and it's with good reason, because in our understanding of the value of humanity, we don't think slavery should be acceptable, and yet it's obviously governed by the Lord according to laws that he lays down in his word. And so that is it is an issue that needs to be addressed, but needs to be addressed biblically and carefully, and not flippantly, just from a 21st century Western postmodern mindset. And so that is all I have to say about slavery for now. But again, if you want me to make a video going into it in more detail, I'm more than happy to do that once my voice gets back to full strength. So that is chapter 19, was they were at Sinai, chapter 20, the 10 Commandments, and then chapter 21, where God begins giving more specific laws, including laws about slavery. Once we know the content of the scriptures, then we can move on to answering our questions. What do I learn about the Lord? What do I learn about myself? And what do I need to obey or change in my life based on what I've learned from his word today? And as always, I encourage you to answer those questions for yourself in your own journal. There's something special about writing it out longhand. that activates different synapses in your brain and makes it stick in your brain better. And so I encourage you to be doing that. There's something special about getting pen and paper or pencil and paper and writing things down. And I hope you are doing that. So answer those questions for yourself. What do you learn about the Lord? What do you learn about yourself? And what do you need to change in your life based on what you have read in God's Word today? Now, for me, I have, of course, written down my answers for all of them, but I wanted to point out specifically in chapter 20, and this is my answer. It kind of goes 2 and 3 together. Chapter 20, starting in verse 19, I'm going to read. And the Israelites said to Moses, "You speak to us, and we will listen. But do not let God speak to us, lest we die." So they're afraid of the Lord. And Moses says to the people, "Do not fear, for God has come to test you, that the fear of him may be before you, that you may not sin." And it's in one verse there, in verse 20, kind of a contradiction, where Moses says, "Do not fear, but fear the Lord." So the point being that they do not need to be afraid of anything if they are in proper relationship with the Lord. And that proper relationship with the Lord means to fear him, means to hold him in holy reverence and awe, understanding that he is this holy, magnificent, omnipotent God who deserves worship and honor and praise. And yet, when we are in right relationship with him and hold him in the right place, put him on the throne where he belongs, we do not need to fear anything else. That does not mean life will always be easy for us. It does not mean bad things will not happen to us. We do live in a broken world. But it does mean if we fear the Lord the way we should, we do not need to fear anyone or anything else, because nothing comes to us except through the permission of the Lord. And so that is what I wrote down, that I need to remember, not to be afraid of things in this world, but just to fear the Lord and worship him alone. So what is your answer for today? What have you learned about that you need to apply in your life and live and change in your life as you live in right relationship with the Lord? Thank you for joining me today. I look forward to being back with you here again tomorrow as we continue our journey through Exodus. I look forward to being back with you again tomorrow. Share the video, like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day living for the Lord.